Hey Vital Men, it's great to be with you today. I'm excited for what God has in store for us. It's going to be a great conversation. I'm starting a new idea of walking in the blessing of God. I meet too many Christians that are walking in salvation, they're going to heaven, but they miss out on God's blessing in their life because they misunderstand the difference between grace and blessing. Grace is unmerited favor. And in the New Testament, there's an additional kind of grace where in John 1:16 it says, and of his fullness we have received grace for grace. The second kind of grace was God's enablement to live where he's called you to live, so you could walk in the blessing that he intended. So in Deuteronomy, God makes a promise to the nation of Israel. And because of Jesus, the same promises that were made to Abraham and Moses and the people of Israel are the same promises that are available to us today. And in Deuteronomy, as they're getting ready to go in the promised land, it says, if you fully obey the Lord, notice where it begins, if you fully obey the Lord, your God, and carefully follow all of his commands I give you today, the Lord will set you high above all the nations, and all these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. You will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. The fruit of your womb will be blessed, and the crops of your land, and the young of your livestock, the calves of your herds, and the lambs of your flocks. Your baskets and kneading troughs will be blessed. Meaning, hey, you're going to be blessed in your career. You're like, I don't have any livestock. He's talking bigger picture. You're going to be blessed in the things that you put your hands to. You'll be blessed in your coming in, your coming, and your going out. The Lord will grant that the enemies who rise up against you will be defeated before you. They will come at you from one direction and flee from you in seven. The Lord will send a blessing on your barns, meaning everything you save, everything that you're storing away, and on everything that you put your hands to. The Lord will bless you in the land that he is giving you. Come on, somebody. Now, I'm not a prosperity preacher that teaches you if you give a certain amount, God's going to return to you a certain amount. In fact, I've heard so many broken pieces in that ideology, and it's not scriptural. But I want to give you this thought today. Grace cannot be earned, but blessings can be planted. Jesus said, you reap what you sow. He wasn't referring to grace. He was referring to the life that we're going to experience on this side of eternity and to what is to come. Saying, you reap what you sow. If you sow good seed, you're going to see good harvest. But if you go to a lemon tree because you planted a lemon tree, and you go outside in your best preacher voice, and you're like, Father, I declare and decree that this lemon tree is going to produce peaches. Well, you're just going to look stupid because it's not about just praying. It's also about planting. You're not going to go to a cornfield where corn has been planted and have a bunch of soybeans coming out of the ground. Why? Look at the seed. And here's a thought for you. Every deed is a seed, and you will reap what you're sowing. So I want to give you 3 ideas real quick today for how you can begin to walk in God's intended blessing on your life. The first one is this: check your heart. Blessings are created or destroyed by your own heart. And the central teaching of Jesus was this idea of the heart. The challenge comes in is Jeremiah in the Old Testament says, the heart is deceitfully wicked. Who can know their own heart? Well, it's a great question. How do you know what really is in your heart? All of us want to believe there's great things in our heart, but how do we really know? Well, Jesus said there's some significant indicators that articulate what really is in our heart. And one of his central ideas talking about a man's heart was talking about a man's money. You're like, what? Where did this become about money? It's not about money, it's about your heart. I mean, many of us like the Luke 6:38 where it says, given will be given unto you, and in good measure and pressed down and shaken together. Maybe if you came from a Pentecostal background, is in good measure, and pressed down, and shaken together, running over, poured together. Come on, somebody. And to the measure of generosity becomes the measurement of your return. And then you go through life realizing that sometimes it doesn't go the way that you thought because you believed or maybe even were taught something that wasn't true. Have you ever opened up a bag of chips hoping that they were full and you get in them and you're like, dang, it was 2/3 air and it's only 1/3 chips? That's right. What happens is sometimes we're sowing seed, even good seed, with the wrong intentions. Meaning Jesus is like, it's more than just what you do. It's actually about your heart. It's the intention at which you do it. So Jesus is having this conversation with people who weren't allowed in the synagogue and in the temple, people who were his disciples, and a bunch of religious people. And he's talking about the heart, and he's getting ready to go savage on the religious people. And he totally sets them up. He says, no one can serve two masters. They're like, that's right, you tell him, Jesus. He'll either hate one and love the other. He'll either be loyal to one and despise the other. And they're like, yeah, that's right, you tell him. And then he throws it, and they realize he's talking to them. You cannot serve God and mammon. And all of the religious people were offended. You see, mammon was the god of riches. And the religious respected money and power. Jesus was lowly, meek, and highly controversial. The religious people respected you more for what you had than who you were. And Jesus is like, that's broken. And one of the reasons they hated Jesus is because Jesus didn't come to build a kingdom on the earth to reestablish the promised land. He came to build a kingdom in hearts, because he was about the heart. But Jesus says, where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. Go talk to a man and talk to him about his vehicle. Go talk to a mama and ask her how much money she spends on her kids. Go talk to me and ask me about how much I spent on coffee. I have 8 different ways to make coffee, and drip is not one of them. But before I move on from this idea, God went first. For God so loved the world that he gave. For God so loved the world, because his heart was in a certain place, his response was give. My kids like the movie, or not the movie, the play on Disney Plus right now, Hamilton. And one of the statements that they keep saying is, follow the money and see where it goes. Follow the money and see where it grows. What Jesus was saying as it relates to our hearts, you want to know where your heart is? Follow the money and see where it goes. If you were to open up your checking account, your credit card statement, in your personal life, or maybe in your business, where does your money say your heart is? It's a great indicator. So today I want to encourage you to check your heart, and next week I'll give you part 2 and part 3. Vital Men, have a great day.